It's my pleasure to welcome you this morning on behalf of the Canadian Institute for Jewish Research. Today's conference is combating the delegitimation of Israel. It grew naturally out of the work we do on campus with students. And we have a unique student Israel advocacy seminar designed to counter growing on-campus anti-Semitism. On campus, the pro-Palestinian movement has succeeded in using the doctrine of academic free speech to intimidate opponents and to make Zionism a dirty word. But it's very important for us to realize that the campus is only part of a much larger international campaign to delegitimate Israel in international and national forums and in the media generally.
High, middle, and low at WMD conventional terrorism. And then there were nonviolent efforts to assault Israel. Demographic assault, and return to overwhelm Israel in population terms. Economic blockade and boycott to not allow Israel to prosper economically. And finally, ideological undermining, the notion that Zionism is a 19th century answer to 21st century problem, out of date, racist, and so forth.
The legitimization of Israel, the way I see it, has nothing to do with the Palestinian question or with the Arab-Israel question. It's not about Palestine. The truth of the matter is that nobody cares about the Palestinians, regardless of how much space they feel in the international media. Their leaders don't care about the Palestinians because otherwise they would have had already a state 70 years ago rather than be stateless to these very days. The Arab states don't care about the Palestinians. They never intervened or fought against Israel because of the Palestinians. Even if you go to the biggest intervention of all, the 48 war, it wasn't about the Palestinians, it was about destroying the nascent state of Israel and dividing the spoils among themselves.
It was really the transition that Unrwa became a full-fledged advocate for the Palestinian cause took place in the aftermath of the Six-Day War, where even within the United Nations General Assembly, Unrwa was able to actually change the language of defining that we're not refugees, but they are the inalienable citizens of the land of Palestine. And so the fact that they were able to change the language and make the connection that there is a Palestinian state that never existed, but in their narrative did exist, also generated a great deal of financial support within the Arab world.
Okay, so what about those claims by Jewish anti-Israel, anti-Zionist activists that they have balance in their approach? That they see the issue from both sides? Well, the real problem is that there's every reason to believe that that claim is false. Why? Because to the utmost extent in my examination of this issue, these Jewish groups and individuals are subject to a leftist ideology that dominates and, in my opinion, leaves very little room for objective thinking. And I must say, there's a question that I've been asked many times: why? What has happened? Why is the left against Israel?
We, I think, have become well aware over the last years that the university campuses in the left and the West are left-wing grow-ops dedicated to the annual production of malignant anti-Zionism. And we're distressingly aware, too, that many of the worst perpetrators of that hatred are, as Sally says, narcissistic, left-wing Jewish wolves perfidiously wrapped in the sheep's wool of the prophetic tradition. Their shibboleths are the words peace and justice, with the implied corollary that these goals are incompatible with the ideals of Herzl and Ben-Gurion.
Cognitive war is also known as psyops, except that psyops is normally addressed, it's psyching out your enemy on the battlefield, whereas cognitive war is addressed to home audiences. Ron Schliefer, who's also an expert in this matter, described the purpose of cognitive war, which he calls psyops, to convince your enemies to be pacifists and your own side to be patriots. And now that's an actually fairly anodyne version of it, because in the Palestinian or the Arab-Israeli conflict, it is in fact to paralyze your enemy with guilt and to incite your own side to genocidal hatred.
Radical political Islam, and I think I would even argue potentially more dangerous than Iran's nuclear weapons program, and I'm choosing my words again carefully, is its use of the protocols of the elders of Zion, the narrative of the protocols of the elders of Zion. As we know, the protocols of the elders of Zion was a forged document that emerged either in France or Russia, depending on which view of history you have, in the late 1800s. And the protocols was a forged document that spoke about the Jewish conspiracy, how the Jews were conspiring to take over the world. Now, as fanciful and as ludicrous as this document is, it played a key role in demonizing and dehumanizing and segregating Jews from European society, and I would argue, as other scholars of anti-Semitism do, paved the way for the Holocaust.
Perhaps the most common and popular approach to the Holocaust is the attempt to equate Zionism with Nazism. This strategy allows its creators to convey the so-called racism and evil believed to exist at the heart of the Zionist enterprise. It also reverses the role of the Jews in history, transforming their status as victims to that of racist aggressors who now act against a new group of victims, the Palestinians. In this narrative, the Palestinians become the true victims of the Holocaust.
Rav Kook, who died in 1935, said, "There's no other people," I'm paraphrasing, I'm not quoting, "there's no other people which has been able to blend or mesh or coexist with the ideas of peoplehood or nationality and international humanity." Meaning we are the most national of peoples, the most cohesive, intensely emotional, concerned, responsible, accountable for our people. This very gathering in Montreal with its powerful traditional bent as a Jewish community, that we are a national people, but there's no people so national, Rav Kook wanted to say, which at the same time is universal in its outlook. We are both.
I hope everybody can agree with this. We should not walk away here without instructing ourselves and others about how to proceed. And here it is, roughly. And I did this quickly. We gathered today at the International Conference on Combating the Delegitimation of Israel, affirm our commitment to the well-being of Israel and the Jewish people, and we call upon all individuals of goodwill and our Jewish organizations which claim to represent us to do everything in their power on campus, in the media, and in the political sphere, vigorously to defend the community and to combat the delegitimation campaign wherever it appears in all its forms.